Alright, so let's implement these sessions, or not implement, it's already implemented, let's just use it. Alright, so I'm just going to go to my working directory here, and remember, we said that if the user is logged in, for the time being, just echo that you are logged in. And instead of doing that, we're just going to say that I'm going to start a session. So in order to start a session, we just say session start, and this is it, right? Just a disclaimer here, or just something to note to you. A session is something that is running behind the scenes on the server side, and by the server side I mean something that is running behind the scenes on Apache, right? The minute that we stop Apache or we close our laptop, this session is going to be closed. But as long as Apache is running, the session is starting and the session is running behind the scenes, we can close this window and go back or open it from another browser, and we will still see the username or whatever value that we create inside the session is stored there, right? It's not going to go away, right? So once we start the session, we can use the session super global, which is called session, right? Just like, I think I missed something here. Just like the super global for the post that we have been using all this time, there is a super global for the session. Now I want to create a variable or a key value pair inside the super global in the spot, right? So inside the session super global associative array, I'm just going to create a key value pair, a key called username. So this key is created in the spot. It doesn't have to be username. It can be UN, my username, the UN. It's totally up to you. But remember that the variable that you create inside the session, you need to stick to it along all the websites or the PHP pages. So I'm just going to call it username, and I'm going to set the current value. See, remember here that if we found this guy, then we grab everything from the database, just like we did there, and just convert it to an associative array and store it in a variable called the row, which is basically an associative array. Okay? And if the password is verified, so the password that the user entered in the input field is matching the value of the password that we've grabbed from the database, right? So now this row contains my actual data from the database. So I can just do something like this. I can say that from the value that I've fetched from that entry inside the table, inside the database. So just let me just open up PHP my admin, or let me just open it up from here. Okay, so pizza maker accounts. So the row that I've fetched for that user, I'm just going to grab the username and the email to store them behind the scenes. You can store whatever number of variables. You can store all of the values. See, you have all of this row. You can store the ID behind the scenes in the session. You can store the username in the session. You can store the email, the password in the session. I'm just going to create two key value pairs because I just want to create or store the username and the email. You can go ahead and create one as well for the password if you want to store the password like that if you want, but I won't do that. So I'm just going to store the username from the one that I've grabbed from the database inside the key that I've created inside my session. So the column here in the database is called username, and I'm going to grab the email, right? And once I am done, this is really important, just remember to say exit to finish or just end that session. Before we actually finish, we want to do something. If I'm logged in, see, I've started the session, I've saved these values inside the session that is going to be running behind the scenes all the time as long as the Apache server is on, right? Now I want to redirect to whatever page that you want. For example, I want the user, whenever he is logged in, I want him to be directed to my menu page, right? Remember, this was the menu page, so this was index menu PHP. So I'm just going to redirect to that page, index menu, like that, right? And maybe I would want to echo, or let's just go there. All right, so we are going to test if this session is working or not in a second. So let's just try to log in here and say that I'm going to log in with someone who is in the database. And now we went to this part, right? But there is nothing that is telling me that I'm logged in, right? Nothing that is telling me that I'm logged in. So how can I tell the user that he's logged in? Well, it's really simple. It's that you just need to manipulate the navigation bar that the user sees. So if he's logged in, he would want to see something different. And remember that we've said that we had our own, where is the notepad that I've had? Anyways, in the video of the navigation bar reconfiguration, we said that we wanted, if the user is logged in, I want to show him, and instead of the sign up, something like profile or search, and instead of the login, I want to show him something like logout, right? So we can do that. So we need to go to the navigation bar, and remember this, we've added these comments. I said if the user was logged in something called an admin, right? If he was logged in as an admin, he would see the admin page, right? Else, anyone who is not logged in is going to see all of this. Any non-member user, right? If a user is a member, right, whether this member is just a normal user or a normal or an admin, he should see, if he's logged in, as long as he's logged in, he should see these. Okay, he should see profile and logout. All right. So I'm going to add this here. I'm going to say, first of all, in order to use the session super global, you need to say that you are going to start the session in the navigation bar. And notice that this is really important, since the navigation bar is going to be placed in every template, in every PHP page. And that means that in every page, if the navigation bar had a session start, this means that there is a session running, the same session running in every page. And this is basically the key here. We need to make sure that the session is running in every page behind the scenes. And this is going to be definitely or easily done via placing this line in the navigation bar, since the navigation bar is by default is placed in every PHP page, right? So I'm just going to create a variable called current username, and I'm going to set it to empty string, and I'm going to say current email, and I'm going to set it to empty string as well. Oops. All right, and I'm going to say here, I'm going to use the same is set. So I'm just going to say is set, but not only post super global. Here I'm going to use the session super global. I'm going to say, do we have something in the username, right? Do we have something in the username? Meaning that was the user just in the login page and he logged in, and this has been triggered, all of these lines have been actually executed. So what I mean is that we have something called username, so we have something inside of it, since we took that username value from the database and saved it inside that key inside the super global. So if there was something inside this username, or by the way, you can use either this or that, right? If he's logged in, so either one of these is going to be set. So if either one of these was actually set, I just want to make sure that it is not empty. So if that session, if that value inside that key that I've created in the session that is called username was not empty, I'm going to grab that key or that value under that key, and I'm going to store it in current username, right? And I'm going to do the same thing for the email, right? Okay. Else, if they were empty, then I'm just going to make sure that they are, these variables that I have here, current username and current email, are just empty strings. Okay, now we can use this here. Now we can say, I'm going to add a PHP tag, and I'm going to say if the current username, or let's say the current one, whatever one of them is going to work for me. So I'm just going to use current username. If there was something in this variable, meaning that there was something in the session that is username, right? Then I'm just going to close this first. Then I'm going to show to the user the profile and logout, right? But else, what if this was actually this current username was empty? It doesn't include anything, right? So I'm just going to close it first. I'm going to say that I'm going to show him if he's not logged in, meaning that nothing in the session, meaning that these variables are empty. So I'm going to show him something like this sign up and login. If he's logged in, he's going to see profile and logout, right? So let's try this just to make sure that we are actually see this. You have the profile and logout, so we are already logged in the session. I can make an echo, a very simple echo here that says, for example, username is going to be current username, right? And this is going to be email. So let's just refresh. It won't appear, but anyways, it's there, so we don't really need to care about this. Okay, so it is here. Actually, it's here. Omar Shindi, and the email is Omar Shindi. So actually, the login in system is done. So this is all you need to know about the login system and the sessions. All right. One last thing, I want to have something like an admin access. So first of all, we need to do the logout in order to be able to log in again. So how can we do the logout? So it is as simple as that. So I'm just going to create a file that is called logout.php. This is going to be a little bit different, since most of the time any PHP page had a PHP portion and an HTML portion, right? In this case, I don't really need the logout to have any HTML layout. I just want it to be something like a transition, or let's call it a transitive you know, phase between the pages, right? So I want behind the scenes that whenever we click on this logout, we should see actually logout. So whenever we click on this logout.php page, I want to go to the logout page, but without actually displaying any content, any HTML content to the user, right? So we need to go to the logout to just do something that is really simple, to close or destroy the session. Right, so first of all, I need to make sure that the session is started, and now I'm going to call a function that is called session onset to unset any keys that we have placed inside that session. So if this was like a key, the username key or the email key, so unset all of these, then destroy the current session. So there is something called this. Alright, so destroy the session. Now redirect me to the menu page. So I'm just going to go to the index.menu.php and finally exit the session. Come on, exit the session. Alright, now let's log out and notice the profile and logout, right? Now we're back. We are logged out. The session is killed, it's destroyed. So you can log in again using the any one of these guys. So I'm going to log in with admin here, right? So this is the login. I'm logged in as admin. Now admin needs to see the navigation bar a little bit different. He needs to see, instead of this menus, he needs to see the admin page, which is basically was called the index, the one that we've created in the lab, right? And I want the only admin to be able to see it, so I will do something like this. Okay, so I'm just going to go to the nav bar and prepare this part in the navigation bar. So I'm just going to say PHP if the current username was equal to admin, then I'm just going to show the admin page. Else, if he's not admin, if he's anything else, or maybe even if he's not logged in actually, then show him the menu. So let's refresh this, and here we have admin here. Now let's log out and log in with someone else, and you have menus. Log in again with admin, and you have admin. Now we need to restrict who's able to see this page. So I'm just going to go to the index page here, and before the start of anything, I'm just going to say, right, notice that we are including the nav bar, which has already a session started, so we don't really need to say that the session is started, right? And from the nav.php we can have access to the current username. So I'm just going to say PHP, I'm going to say if the current username, which can be found, this variable can be found in this nav.php, if this happened to be equal to admin. If it is not equal to admin, alright, so I'm just going to do the following. I'm going to say something like an h1 of access denied, right? And PHP, I'm going to say else if he was actually an admin, then show him all of the content in this admin page. So let's try this. Then this is going to work because I'm logged in as admin, so let me just log in again as someone else. And let's go to the, notice that the admin page doesn't appear, but I can go from the URL and just hit on index, and it's going to tell you that access denied. The session is saying that you should not be able to access this. Now notice that I'm logged in as someone, right? So if I close this page and I open it again or even if I opened it from another browser, right, you would still be logged in. So you're still logged in here. See, this is what the session is doing. Okay, so the last thing that I'm going to do is to actually take all of the PHP code from there and put it in a partial PHP code file that we will include in the login.php. So I'm just going to take this, take all this away, and make in the includes login.inc.php, paste it. Yeah, paste everything inside whenever you have this PHP tag here. All right, and then include that guy from there. So this should be login.php, and that's it. And finally, in the navigation bar, I don't want to have the login or the logout to be an actual page. I want it to be something like a partial page as well. So I'm just going to say that I'm going to go to the login inc, which can be found in includes, like that. All right, in this file, in this folder. All right, and in the logout, I want to go to the index menu, which happens to be outside that folder. So it is outside that folder, right? So I'm just going to say go out, only one step outside, like that, and go find that index menu. Now we don't really need that. We want to paste that in a file called logout.inc.php. Right, so we don't really need that logout page anymore. And let's try this. This should be the same, no difference. So let's log in. You're logged in, log out, so it's the same, nothing is different. One last thing that I want to do here is that whenever I go to the add pizza, since I'm logged in, let's just log in with anyone. When I'm logged in and go to the add pizza, I want to see my mail pre-populated. So I just want to see the mail there, just to indicate that I'm actually logged in. So to do that, I'm just going to go to the add.php, the one that we built in the 3-hour session, right? And I will do just one simple thing. I'm just going to say that in this value, I'm just going to place something a little bit different, right? So in this value, in the email section, I'm just going to say that I will echo whatever value that is inside the current email, right? Which happens to be there inside the nav.php, right? Okay, so let's see this. Now add pizza, and you have the mail there. Now we want the mail to be uneditable, right? So I will go to the add pizza, and I will give it a class, and this class is going to be something. First of all, I will give it a read only, right? So this is an HTML property, right? So you can't actually edit it, and I will give it some background color just to indicate that this is not a field that you can manipulate since you are logged in, right? So I'm going to give it a class here. I'm going to call it read only class, like that. And this class is going to be having the following, right? So let me just add this internally, just some internal styles here. So I'm going to make this class internally, right? And this is going to be having a background color of something that is gray but really light. So let's take a look here, and here you go. Okay, and that's it. I'm just going to make this a little bit transparent, and this is it. All right, the next video I'm going to show you how can you make something like this. So if I went to my website, let me just look out. If I went to the add pizza, I should see this modal box. This is what we call a modal box, right? So I'm going to show you how can you do this in the next video.